Hello, this is Not a Spring Chick, and today we're going to cook mashed potatoes and shepherd's pie. So for those of you that are wondering, shepherd's pie and mashed potatoes, well, shepherd's pie has mashed potatoes in it, but we're also planning ahead because we're going to be making spaghetti sauce, and we're going to use some of the meat that we're making at the same time as the spaghetti sauce for the shepherd's pie. So the mashed potatoes we're going to make right now are actually for both. First of all, if you want to figure out how much you're using, because you're never quite sure how many potatoes to use, if you use a container, this is the one we're going to use for the shepherd's pie, and lay out your potatoes in advance to fill it up. You'll have a better idea as to how many you need. This one, as you can see, has already been peeled. But, oh yeah, you probably know how to make potatoes, right? Of course, a great peeler is worth its weight. We're peeling off, of course, this. Now, some people like to have mashed potatoes without the peel in it, and some of them like it with it. So do it to your own preference. Okay. Let's see, it's just a second. Can you see right here? Also, when you're cooking the potatoes, if you slice them ahead of time, before you cook them, oops, watch out for these hands. Oh, if you happen to have one of those mitts, I don't have one right here, where you put them over your hand, then you can cut, and you won't cut through your hand. A lot of the chefs have those. We're just going to cut these in big pieces though. Put them in the pot. Here's one more. Now on this, I'm going to go ahead and rinse this out one more time because I've been sticking my hand in here to grab the potatoes out and putting them back. Actually, here's another. Well, we're just going to do it this way. If you have a strainer, you can also just set it over. Go ahead and do it. I'm just going to put my hand over here that was rinsed out. I'm just going to add some more water. Okay. And if you're curious why we're doing this here instead of over there, this is a working sink. It's not exactly a stage sink, so it's not exactly the most photogenic. Stove, potatoes have already boiled. We put a little bit of butter in there, and I wish I could find my potato mash, but for now this is going to have to do. And we're just going to go ahead and mash these potatoes up. Now we're going to pour just a little bit of milk in here. Okay, and the milk gives it just a little bit more smoothness. And while this one requires muscle power, it tastes a little bit more homemade, get a little more texture and chunkiness to the mashed potatoes than by putting it in the blender. The blender, too, all you have is this pot and 1 spoon. Okay, we had nearly 5 pounds of meat here. Yes, of hamburger meat. We went and split it in half. So part of it, well, is going to be used for meatloaf. This part right here is going to be used for spaghetti sauce, as well as a shepherd's pie. Now the shepherd's pie is basically whatever they had left over in the kitchen for the meat. So it could have been strips of steak, could be hamburgers. We're just going to go ahead and saute this. Okay, so here's one really important thing, because as tempted as you are, like I am, you can see that it's live, just take that whole thing of meat and stick it in here and then break it up. Well, then you get splattered by the oil. I like to use this one. I love it. It's a roasted garlic oil, which is olive oil. And so olive oil and is it safflower oil? Oh, canola oil and olive oil, which is absolutely wonderful. But as you notice, when I put it in there, it splattered me and I jumped back. So if you break it up beforehand, you put it in, then you won't experience that. Now we're going to go ahead and put in, oh yes, Italian seasoning. This is, I find, a whole lot easier to use instead of getting a rosemary, a basil, and all the different individual spices. One seasoning. Go ahead, put it into flavor. How much are we supposed to put in? Oh, we're putting it into flavor. And if you put the flavor in with the meat, even if you're using a crock pot or you're baking stuff in, you'll have a lot more flavor in the end. I've just added some dark chili powder, and this is flavoring or seasoning to taste. So I like to use a lot of different things. Here is some chili sauce. Oops. Some Worcester sauce. Oh, good. Wait. I'm so hungry now. That's the hard part about doing this. William Perrin's traditional steak sauce. Come on. You notice I step back because it will splat me. There we go. And of course, some liquid smoke stuff. This is great if you want to make beef jerky. Also, it gives it a little bit of a smoky flavor. Okay. Go ahead and stir it all up. If you're curious why I'm using a wok instead of a skillet, well, with the wok, you have the higher side, so once they're warm, you have a lot more, if you want to call it warming temperature. It also allows it to sit in there, and I don't think it splatters quite as much. So we're just going to go ahead and taste it. Come over here. More seasoning. So I've just added a layer of potatoes down to the bottom, and next is the meat. I'll just go ahead and put the meat in next. And this next one is a layer with the meat. And then next, again, we go to the potatoes. So we're spreading this top layer of mashed potatoes. And then, the next step is up to you for choice. For cheese, we've got some deli slices American, mozzarella, or some Parmesan cheese. So the choice is up to you, depending on what flavor you want. But for now, we're going to do what's easiest, which is to use the sliced pieces of cheese because it's already open. And go ahead and put it on top. Oh, maybe I have the other one on there too. Okay, there's our American cheese, the deli style on top. Now I think I'm going to go ahead and use some of this Parmesan cheese too, just to add on top.